All right, so today I am joined by queer music artist Morgan. How are you doing today?
I'm good. It's like, I don't know, the sun is shining. I'm not thinking exactly about how the world is falling apart, and I'm just sort of focusing on, I don't know, my contribution to this mess, which is the art that I've made.
Yes, definitely living in the moment. Yes. So
Yeah.
congratulations on the release of your latest EP, Heartland Part 1.
Thank you. Yeah.
How has it been received so far?
Honestly, amazing. The thing is I have experienced so many ups and downs in the industry, and like I've been dropped by a label, and then I had Wonder happen with Sarah Bareilles, and that was this like huge moment. And then I was like, oh, I'll sign another deal, and that wasn't so great, and I like left that deal, So now I'm independent again, and I'm having this like the music is reaching more people than any of my other songs. Make It Out Alive is currently my number one song on every platform, and I'm like, it's just a reminder that like there's a way that you think this thing is supposed to happen, or there's a way that you think art and commerce are supposed to exist. And I'm here to say that I'm changing that whole experience for myself, and hopefully that's inspiring to other people to just do your art no matter what,
Mhm.
especially with everything going on.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, so this EP was written and recorded on the Tennessee farm that you share with your husband. How did that environment influence the sound and soul of this project?
I think, there's a poet Silas House in Kentucky, and I saw an essay he recently wrote, just like, you grow up with the tenets of like love thy neighbor as thyself, this thing that the South has, all this religion that sort of teaches you that you're supposed to like love your neighbor, and that you're supposed to like be welcoming to others, but sort of moving back home, I'm kind of hit with this like dissonance between like what I was taught growing up and then what is actually happening here in the South. But
Yeah.
if you go out into the heartland, like where our farm is, I kind of feel like I kind of feel like the media is getting it all wrong. Yes, the fight nationally absolutely exists, but in the countryside, I'm finding that like we're just like coexisting in this space, and it's really beautiful. That's not to say that like, Sumner County was not going to have pride because they have no public, officials who support pride. And
Mhm.
so my husband and I, along with three other organizations, Earth First, The Collab, and PFLAG, basically banded together to host Pride on our farm.
Mhm.
And I feel like all of this to say that is the backdrop in which I made Heartland.
Yeah.
Like my last album, Beacon, I kind of feel like it was a bridge to this universe that I'm exploring both sonically and like lyrically.
Mhm.
And a lot of that was moving back home was the last thing I wanted to do. But since coming back home and having this farmland and seeing that like that we are we're far more connected than media and our current president like wants us to believe. We are
Mhm.
just, we all exist in the heartland. So that was just really inspiring to me.
Awesome. And yeah, I mean, the title alone feels like a powerful reclaiming of space, and I love that.
Thanks. I mean, I grew up here. My first job was at Tootsie's, which is a famous bar downtown. It's
Mhm.
surprising to people, but like, I would get up with the band and I would sing Rascal Flatts songs. And there was like a
Nice.
time where I thought like, oh, maybe there's country in these woods, but I'd never make music thinking about genre. It's very like inside out for me.
Mhm.
Um, but a manager 10 years ago told me I would never make it in music as an openly gay person in Nashville. And so that's like why I didn't first come back here. But now being back here as a fully openly gay person, it doesn't matter like what genre you think the music is. To me, what matters is the message that I'm trying to share through the music, and this sort of album creation is like what came out of that. So it feels really good, and honestly, the reception to it has been so sweet.
Mhm.
So I feel excited.
That's awesome. Love it. And the lead single from this EP is HOLY. Is that correct?
Well, I mean, lead single is, I don't know, everything's a single in this universe, but Holy is the one that I'm releasing a music video. I don't know when this conversation will come out, but the music video comes out tomorrow.
Okay.
Um, and that one, it's interesting, and I I I sort of am entering a little bit of sensitive territory here, but I will say personally, like my husband grew up evangelical Christian and still, that community, he was going to go to seminary to be a pastor. And when he came out, he was kicked out of the church. And that was the end of that journey for him. And he's found his way to being a therapist, like helping people kind of cope with religious trauma.
Okay.
I know I'm able to share that story, but I will say that there are collaborators on this album as a whole
Hmm.
who have confided in me that their family still, like when they say like, oh, I'm working with this person, Morgan, and they look me up, like their family members are like, I don't want you to be working with somebody like
Yeah.
that. Like that is still existing
Hmm.
in 2025. And holy very much is, I don't care what you call it, it's holy. And that is like, you know, I can't imagine how somebody would look at like a man and a woman kissing and being like, that's okay, but a man and a man, that's awful. Because I know many men and women who kiss and it's not holy. Do you know what I mean? And I
Yeah.
and I know many men and men who kiss and it's not holy. Like
Mhm.
whatever. I'm not the I'm not the judge and the jury, but the idea here in the South that somehow who you love is able to be twisted and controlled and manipulated by other people is so wild to me. So
Exactly.
holy, there's so much about this music video that I'm so excited about. One is that my husband and I are in it, and that feels really special to me. But the
Nice.
other biggest part is that I was looking for like I was thinking about what kind of visual I would want to see as a kid that would make me feel like my inklings that I might be different than others and might be into men is going to be okay. And I talked to some community leaders here and I was like, "Do you happen to know a couple who's older who would want to be in a music video?" And there was like, first of all, there was very few people that they could think of, and it wasn't because they were like these people won't be in it. There was actually these people I don't think will be in it. These people they might, blah blah blah. It
Hmm.
was a smaller group, but he told me about this couple, Carl and Leo, and this man's name is John Bridges. He's a fixture in the community. He said to me, it's going to be hard to find a couple that is that old in the South who want to be that open because they grew up in a very different time and not to like, I feel like sometimes the younger generation forgets, but a lot of people of that generation, there were so many that were lost to AIDS that like
Yeah.
that part of the gay history gets lost because they didn't grow up in a time where pride is so colorful and so
Mhm.
commercial, etc.
Yeah.
But once he introduced me to this couple, Carl and Leo, I called them and I talked to them, and it turned out that they were just moving out of their home that they shared for 37 years, and they were moving into like a sort of hybrid assisted living kind of place.
Okay.
And they were like, we could actually shoot the video like in that house. And it turned out to be this like, I'm getting chills. It just turned out to be this love letter to their love and to their story and to love that exists generationally,
Mhm.
like seeing my husband and I in one way and seeing them two in another. Like I just feel so honored that I got to capture their love story. And um, this is, I can say this because I shared the video with them last week as it was being finished. And after I played it for them, Leo said, I think that we should play that video at one or both of our funerals. And I don't think there's a better, a higher honor
Yeah.
than making something and feeling like I gave them the gift of seeing their love reflected
Hmm.
in in modern media.
Hmm. That's awesome. That's absolutely amazing. I love that.
Yeah, I can't wait for you to see it.
Yeah, I can't wait to see it either. Yes. Well, what else do you ultimately hope audiences take away from Heartland?
I think, I'm wearing this Fruity Farm hat. That's the name of our farm. And it's on camo, which is this thing that camo is normally this thing that's reserved for people who aren't exactly, the queer of
Hmm.
them all. Nashville, Music City, you know, it's still like Nashville is more than just like straight white people with trucks. Do you know what
Yeah,
I mean? Like,
yeah.
I mean, some of the press images for Heartland are me on a truck, and that's our truck. Like that's not a prop truck. Like I think that I hope that Heartland that people feel like they see themselves in the story of these songs,
Hmm.
however they identify. I feel like this music is not just, it's not just music for queer people, it's just music for people,
Yeah.
there's there's something I think in this album. It feels like I don't know. It was a joy to make. It was a surprise to make it. Like it was not like I sat down to make a quote album. It was just like this was how I processed the last few years,
Hmm. Yeah.
and hopefully that helps people kind of get through this weird time.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Well, have you always had a passion to pursue music?
I mean, I'm looking at all these like music posters on my wall. I have always sung my whole life.
Hmm.
But there's a Bob Dylan autobiography, Chronicles Volume 1, of which there's one volume, and one day I would love to ask him if he like plans on doing a volume 2, or like I don't know. There was a part of me that thought like maybe the volume 1 is just like a maybe there's something coming. Who knows? Who knows? Anyways, in it, he said, when you're a fine enough singer, there's plenty of songs for you to sing, but
Hmm.
at some point, you want to peel back the curtain and find out what's there.
Yeah.
And for me, that's what I've always written in a journal, and I've always written songs ever since I was like 11. I can remember like writing songs.
Mhm.
Um, but for me, it's very much like I always sang other people's songs. I did theater, and that was like you stand where you're supposed to stand and you sing the songs that you're supposed to sing,
Yeah.
But writing music for me kind of began as a I felt so embarrassed and scared and vulnerable to pull back the curtain and see what was there. So, um, when I had done theater in New York, it was very much like, well, the thing I would like to do is music, and that was when the manager told me I will never make it in music as an openly gay person, and why I went to LA first. So it's a lifelong dream,
Yeah.
truly, to make
Awesome.
music.
Definitely. Well, as a queer artist from Nashville, do politics or geography play a role in where you choose to perform or how you connect with audiences, especially when you're in areas that are not as LGBTQ plus friendly?
Uh, Listen, we have it all wrong right now. Like again, if the tenet is love thy neighbor as thyself, like then everything that's happening in our country is absolutely wrong.
Yeah.
But um, what I have found, it gets scarier, but I have found that shows in places in the heartland, the Kansas Cities, the St. Louis, the Salt Lake City, the places that aren't the coasts or whatever, that get all the attention, you know, you find that there are crowds there that like they they feel this too. They feel this sort of like I'm not seen or heard in the heartland, and I feel safe and seen and heard at these shows. And that's like my favorite thing about getting to tour when that happens.
Mhm.
Um, you know, I wish I could get everywhere, but the cost of touring has gotten
Yeah.
so crazy. It's finding new ways to do it, and I'm excited because I'm doing like a symphony orchestra show where I'm doing Carole King's Tapestry, which is one of my favorite albums, plus a few of my own songs, and sort of getting to go to different parts of the country with that show. Um, but you know, it's scary out there in the country, but I really feel like music is the thing that can help bring us together. And that's what I've experienced when I have been able to play shows all over the country.
Definitely. And for many of these people, you're like bringing queer joy and softness and strength to these places that are less accepting.
Yeah, I wish that was like, I wish that was a thing of the past. Like, I wish that, it was important to me that this part one of the album came out July 4th,
Mhm.
not the last week of Pride, which is like nothing against Pride. I love Pride, but I happen to be gay 24/7, 365 days a year.
Not just June.
I think 12 months out of the year, I think. Who knows? You know, I'm not just gay when capitalism calls for it.
Exactly.
Pull quote. Um, but to me, I wanted to release it on America's birthday because there's nothing more American than being a queer person singing about softness and strength and love and joy and hope and hurt. Um, and that is the message of Heartland. Like that is the thing that I feel so passionate about with this album.
Perfect. Well, what's next for Heartland? Will we have a part two?
I could pull a Bob Dylan and just like that's the end of it, but that would be a lie because it's already coming.
Mm,
And I'm not going to say the date for it, but
okay.
you know, because I'm not on a label, I don't have to pretend that there's some um, man behind the curtain pulling some string that doesn't exist. Like
Mhm.
it's done, it's coming. I'm not waiting. So part two is coming.
It's coming. Okay, perfect. Well, what are some other future goals you hope to accomplish with your music career?
Oh, I love the idea of like playing music in unexpected places. Like, I, and unexpected is, for a boy from Nashville, Tennessee, I have always wanted to play music in Japan. That is a place that I would love to go to. I just got a commercial for Make It Out Alive in Poland, and I'm like, let me go to Poland. I've never played there. I mean, I think playing music all over this earth, is kind of like the dream that I have that keeps me that feels, in my last album I have a song Getting Older in a Modern Time that's like the distance between where I want to be and where I am right now, it feels so open wide
Yeah.
and I feel that still like I have huge dreams and like how do I move towards it? But I mean that's what a dream is. It's meant to be big, it's meant to be wide and it's meant to last a lifetime.
Definitely.
So I want to play music all over the world. That's my full moon dream.
All right, there we go. Well, Morgan, how can one stay up to date with you the best?
Honestly, if you search Morgan, the A is an X, Morgxn, anywhere, you will find the music and you will find me. And I can't wait to meet you.
Perfect. Well, then before we wrap up, are there any other upcoming projects or anything else you'd like to mention or plug at this time?
Um, no, I mean the Carole King Tapestry. I'm so excited to dive into that album. It's one of the albums that inspired the making of this album because I've always felt that music, every album, and I'm such an album person, like even though our world might be singles, like I'm so in the tapestry of how you make a record and how every song is like is a long time ago somebody told me that an album is like a party full of people and you don't want 11 or 12 of the same people at every party. You would
Yeah.
love like a party that's like, oh wow, what a fun, diverse party. So an album feels like a diverse party, a tapestry, a quilt. And I'm excited to dive into exploring her album. Um, I'm excited for the full album to release and the music video to be out. And I'm just excited to be still alive, still making music in this wild time that we're in.
Awesome. Fantastic.